Now that you've turned the recording back on, let's check some of our answers on the practice problems. We have a polyatomic ion, NH4+, with another polyatomic ion, SO3, -2. Still just two characters we're connecting, a positive and a negative. NH4+ is our only positive polyatomic ion, whose name is ammonium. SO3, -2, is our polyatomic ion known as sulfite. We are going to create a compound called ammonium sulfite. When ammonium, who is a +1, hooks to a sulfite, who is a -2, we'll need to take two groupings of our positive polyatomic ion, NH4 taken twice, SO3, to create our electrically neutral compound. We'll write out its name by simply naming the positive polyatomic ammonium with the last name sulfite from our negative polyatomic ion. We've created ammonium sulfite. Number 2, or letter B, calcium ion hooking to phosphate. Notice the ATE. Phosphate is the ending for a polyatomic ion. Since my chart is right here, I can find phosphate, polyatomic ion for PO4 -3, phosphate. We'll be hooking that to the calcium ion, who is Ca, carrying a +2. First name is calcium, Ca +2. Phosphate, PO4 -3. When we crisscross, we will get Ca3, PO4 taken twice, whose name is calcium phosphate. Ca3PO4 taken twice, calcium phosphate. Here we're given Al3 positive coming from our element aluminum. Aluminum is a +3. Hooking to NO3, -1. Notice the -1 narrows the column that I go to start finding its name. NO3 -1 is nitrate. Aluminum, nitrate, AlNO3 taken 3 times. Aluminum, nitrate. Potassium ion with the chromate ion. Potassium, he's an element found in the first column. Potassium's a +1. Hooked to chromate. See that ATE, the sound of a polyatomic ion. Chromate is CO4, 2 negative. Potassium is K +1. Chromate, CO4 -2. When I crisscross, I get K2CrO4, and we'll name that potassium chromate. K2CrO4 is called potassium chromate. Let's check our formulas in your second practice problem. Lithium hydrogen sulfate. Even though I see 3 separate names, it's still 2 ions. Lithium will be our positive, and hydrogen sulfate will be our negative. Here's the polyatomic ion, hydrogen sulfate. It has 2 names to it because we've added a hydrogen onto the original sulfate polyatomic. Taking sulfate, adding a hydrogen creates a new polyatomic called hydrogen sulfate, HSO4 -1. Lithium, who's a +1, hydrogen sulfate, who's a -1, came up with LiHSO4. Chromium 3 nitrite. Chromium is Cr with a +3. The Roman numeral told us that. Chromium's an element, lives right in the heartland of I don't know your charge by where you live, so we had to tell you the charge by using the Roman numeral. Nitrite, hear the ITE, the sound of a polyatomic. Nitrite is NO2 with a -1 charge. NO2 -1, so when we crisscross, we'll find Cr parenthesis NO2 taken 3 times. Chromium 3 nitrite. The letter C, mercury 2 bromide. Ide, the sound of a binary compound, IDE. Mercury lives in the heartland of I don't know your charge, so we're telling you. And bromide is the monoatomic ion. IDEs are these characters over here. Ide, bromide, Br, -1. 8 and ite back here. Ide, right in here. Mercury, Roman numeral 2, bromide, Hg, Br2. Ammonium is our positive polyatomic ion, NH4 plus 1. And dichromate, here's ammonium. And the sound of a polyatomic, ATE, dichromate, Cr2O7, 2 negative. Cr2O7, 2 negative. When we crisscross, we get NH4 taken twice, Cr2O7. Ammonium dichromate. In the last set we'll check together, say the names of the 2 ions. Still just one positive, still just one negative. If the positive ion needs a Roman numeral, it's the charge that it carries. LiCN, lots of elements, but still just 2 names. Li comes from the element lithium. Cn is a group of atoms acting as a unit carrying a charge. Its last name is cyanide. We do not say lithium, carbon, nitrogen. We must say them as the name of their ions. This is lithium cyanide. Lithium does not need a Roman numeral. It lives in a +1 column. Letter B, NH4 taken twice, C2O4. Lots of elements, but still just 2 names. NH4 is in a parenthesis. It's telling me it's a group of atoms acting as a unit carrying a charge. Its name is ammonium, the positive polyatomic ion. The last name C2O4 is a group of atoms acting as a unit carrying a charge. Its name is oxalate. C2O4, 2 negative, oxalate. Say the name of the first one, ammonium, with the last name oxalate. That compound is named ammonium oxalate. In letter C, we've got FeClO3 taken 3 times. FeClO3 taken 3 times. Fe is